I mean, if you and I were day traders and having, very successful, like we would be interviewing that. If we played in poker, like we would, like at the end of the day, if
we own strip clubs, we'd probably interview strippers.
Yeah.
This was for the home team. This was for the home team.
Hey, welcome to Tailgate Beers. Austin and Ryan here. Cheers. Let's cheers here,
cheers.
buddy. We're
Here's
here.
the first podcast of 2025.
It is. And we were just mentioning before we jumped on camera that it seems like it's been a little while, and it's been, probably a month. Austin Snell was here December 7th, and it's January, middle of January almost. So it's been a month.
No, this is our first one of 2025, and I think being able to get back in the groove, we've been kind of MIA, socially, releases, everything, but I think we've got a full slate coming up.
We've posted on our socials a few times, and even that, I mean, it's picked up new followers. It's picked up new people that have not seen, a Corey of the world who, didn't see our stuff previously, and then that was off of just a behind-the-scenes photo shoot that we did that morning while we were sitting here doing some goal setting for 2025. Off of that post or whatever happened, however that connection with Corey, and then, he started sharing it all over the world. And
with Corey.
With Farmington Corey.
Oh, yeah. I was like, I didn't know if you were talking Corey Smith. Yeah.
No. Farmington Corey.
Yeah. Unk started sharing it all over. I mean, I don't know if he reached his goal of 20-something followers. Did he?
He did. He did that night. And actually, yeah, we're at YouTube. We're at 422 followers as of today.
Holy shit.
Yeah, we were at
Hey, shout out to him.
Absolutely. We were about 398. Cheers to Corey. Corey, one of our biggest fans.
Yeah, he says he'll be our biggest fan.
For our first podcast of 2025, I thought it would be good, and I know we've been talking about it for a little while now, even before the new year. I'm just kind of sitting down and chit-chatting about how this all started. I mean, we have released at this point, and we've released all the episodes that we have recorded for the most part. We've got some behind-the-scenes stuff that probably will never see the day of light. We've got 20 episodes out there. We've got a very, very busy January.
Yes.
I mean, we've got 12, 13 podcasts scheduled for January at this point. And then, it doesn't sound like it's going to slow down much. I mean, we're getting requests for podcasts. People are reaching out to us. An awesome lineup of artists coming through. Cruisins here in West Peoria, Cruisins Farmington Road in the next few months as well. So that's not going to slow down. And then we run into Tailgate and Tall Boys.
So this being, our first podcast of 2025, I do think we have some really exciting possibilities of our list of people. We can even touch on some of that. We still want to hear, who everybody else wants to see. But I wanted to start this off with, this exciting news of Surfside. I know we've had Surfside on this. We've tried to have it on, over the course of since we've had Matt on from Surfside. But as of this podcast and the rest of 2025, Surfside is an official drink of Tailgate Beers, and we are beyond excited to have them here, Cruisins, and Tailgate and Tall Boys.
Yeah, and I think you'll see as time goes on in the next several podcasts we've got scheduled too. From a set standpoint, I mean, our set continues to get bigger and broader, and our very first podcast. Just for a quick second, we'll stay on Surfside, but for a quick second, our very first podcast was probably will never see the light of day, but it was an hour and 42 minutes long in my basement.
Yeah.
And then we kind of brought it here just because this is where the artists come, and we're behind the scenes. We're in the green room. So an artist come here, and there's a big conference room table that is Austin's desk 5 days a week. And, for the regular job here. But we kind of turned that into a podcast table for a period of time.
Yeah,
and
that's where it started after we moved it here.
Yeah, and then kind of cleaned out this corner of the room and kind of set up shop here. But going back to Surfside real quick too, yes, this is just an amazing drink. Zero bubbles, zero sugars, all that kind of stuff. It tastes good.
I mean, I wouldn't want to carry again, if somebody threw us enough money, wanted to be some crazy sponsor, I mean, I would probably drink just about anything.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I mean, whether they even did a sponsorship, I was pretty honest with Matt about my feelings on this because I'd say this is my biggest critic is
Yeah.
I'm a lemonade junkie. I love a good regular, like it was hand squeezed, that type of stuff. I think for me to actually say, hey, I can drink those and I like them is saying something. But I definitely love the iced tea vodka, the iced tea lemonade. They're coming out with green teas.
You've got a peach tea around here
They got a
somewhere
peach
too. Yeah.
tea. I think they got a raspberry tea. And again, we'll throw up a whole little slide of all their different varieties on
Yeah.
this. And
Yeah.
again, go check them out. Surfside, pre-mixed vodka, iced teas, whole variety. You can find them pretty much anywhere now at this point. At least some of your main, liquor stores for sure. Your Benny's, your
Benny's, yeah. So kind of back that up as well. So if you have been following us since the beginning of Tailgate Beers, and I don't even know what episode it is. I probably should have looked it up before it came on camera. But Matthew Quigley is the co-founder, and he did an episode with us. He was here Atlas night, went golfing with us, and or went mini putt. I guess we did that day. Such a cool guy, though. I mean, and then he sat down with us and spent, I mean, it probably was 45 minutes to an hour just talking about the history of Surfside, talking about, how he came, and involved in that with his brother and just how it's all kind of evolved from there. But then we also got some great conversation about, Philadelphia, which is where Surfside is at. And I'm looking forward to the day where I get the call from Austin and those saying, hey, we're going to Philadelphia to see Matthew. If you watch that episode, it's a lot of fun.
He is very detail oriented. I've learned a lot just from talking to Matt, and I think that Nat was here the last time.
That's been here for months.
Yeah, last time it was in my face. I love that they're a part of it. They are the official side stage sponsor, so it's the Surfside stage. Surfside stage.
I like that.
Yeah, we're gonna call it the Surfside stage.
Okay.
But you gotta say Surfside stage.
Rather than Surfside side stage, it's just Surfside stage.
Yeah. So it's gonna be decked out. They're gonna have activation stuff there. And at Cruisin's, they're the presenting sponsor of all the 2025 shows. So we're gonna have sampling at all the shows. We'll have it at all the Cruisin's locations. It's just a good partnership. It's somebody that I don't know. I want to see it have major success and to be able to deal directly with, some of their main people is pretty exciting, really.
Yeah, and if you go back to the episode as well, and again, I can't remember what episode number it was, but if you go back to it, Matthew Quigley, he talks about, distribution and getting this out across the country. They do a vodka as well, where they actually use their vodka in these RTDs, ready to drink drinks. And he talks about, how this just kind of blew up on them. Like I said, they've been doing vodka for a while, and the RTD, it was his brother's idea. And go watch the episode. I'm going to ruin all of it, but go watch the episode because that certainly is interesting and cool how it's just kind of blown up for him.
I've been doing all my research on Philadelphia. I mean, I've only been to Philly once.
Yeah.
And me and Macaulay are on season 11.
Okay.
We've binge watched since then. We've binge watched all the way up to season 11 of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
Oh yeah.
Me and Matt will text randomly about
Really?
it, and I'll just send like a quote from it. Dude, it makes me laugh. And I know it's not true to how Philly really is, but oh my God, it's so funny.
I liked Philly. So I was stationed and again, I was stationed in New Jersey, and Philadelphia is just down the road from that. So we used to go to Philadelphia or New York if we wanted to, have some good bars and food and stuff like that. That was one of the two options: go south to Philadelphia, north to New York City. But I had some friends, some buddies in the military that were from Philadelphia and had some connections there. Okay. So we got down there and party a little bit.
I didn't get to spend enough time there. So I went there for a buddy of mine, Michael Meredith's wedding. Every single fucking night, we ended up at the same hole-in-the-wall pizza joint.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, a pizza joint, you walk in, they got slices.
Yeah.
Are you ready? The big, traditional flat slice.
Fold them together.
Every single night, it was like, what's up? Let's just go to the pizza place. Walk down. I don't even remember. I just remember it was every night we had to go there. And we really didn't go and party throughout Philly because it was wedding time. So it's like, hey, we got rehearsal. You got this to do. You got this to do. And we did take the one 2 days that we had free, and we took the Amtrak to New York.
Mm-hmm.
So went into downtown New
Yep.
York, walked around, had lunch, went through the park, went to the World Trade Center,
Yeah.
which they were still constructing at that time.
The memorial. Yeah.
Well, the memorial's done, but they were still constructing the new, what is it? What's the building called that they were building?
Oh, I don't even know.
Not we had the World Trade Centers, but they were building the new high rise.
Got me on
Isn't
that
like I don't know. It's got some name. All right, we're gonna have to fucking look that up. Anyways, there's a lot of construction still going on. Still, yeah, man, it was. New York is fucking dirty though, compared to like some of the cities and stuff. But it was so cool to do that. It was a fun, train ride out there,
Yeah.
quick 45 minutes or so. Then back to Philly, and again, just blacked out for another night. And then he got married on at like a yacht club, but like not like yacht, but it was like on the, I don't know what river it is, like the Delaware River and shit.
yeah.
And I don't know, I just remember it was just a fun ass wedding and time
Hell yeah.
to be out in Philly, and got married in like a beautiful, beautiful old, Catholic church. And it's cool. There's just so much history there.
Oh, yeah. You go down, you can see the Liberty Bell.
I did see that.
You see the steps where Rocky, runs up from the
Yeah.
Rocky movie, stuff like that.
But just a city like that where you're walking down, and like kind of like being in Washington where you're walking and it's like a brick street.
Yeah,
And you see the old pillar from on a house that you can tell was from like the 1800s, but times like, a million. Everywhere you walk there, you're like, dude, this is an old like brick street, and these old buildings that have been renovated I don't know how many different times and stood the test of years and years.
Yeah, no, it's definitely historic.
Yeah.
Philadelphia is a historic city.
And if you watch It's Always Sunny, the Liberty Bell is actually cracked at Patty's Pub.
Yeah, so Tailgate Beers here, cracking open a new Surfside. Austin and I are here. We're kicking off our 2025 season, if you want to call it that. I don't know if we're going to do different seasons, but or just continue our count up on episodes. But so by episode, this would be episode 21. We're kind of doing a 2024 year in review. We started this. When was it? August. That was our first podcast. So let's go back to the very beginning. And for me, I can tell my side, and then Austin can kick in some stuff too. So for me, I'm sitting at home, right? And for those that don't know me personally, I don't sit on a chair like you see me on camera. If you see me on camera for very long, I'm always moving, I'm switching my feet, and I'm fidgeting. I'm a very hyperactive person and can't sit still very long. So long story short, nobody cares about. At home, I sit on an exercise ball. And Austin knows this. My friends know this. My family knows this. And I bounce physically on an exercise ball. And so I'm on my exercise ball. It's a Sunday morning. I'm guessing 9 or so. Austin had been traveling that weekend. I think you were doing soccer or something.
Table Rock. I was
Yeah.
at Table
There
Rock.
you go. Yeah, you were down there with your mom. But anyway, so I get. Was it a text or was it a phone call from you? I can't remember.
I text you, and then I called you when I got to
Okay.
a Buc-ee's.
Okay, there you go. So shout out to Buc-ee's. So yeah, no, I get a text from Austin. Basically said, "Hey, thinking about starting a podcast. About Tailgate, about cruisins, about the artists coming through, about anything really." And he's like, "Would you have any interest in co-hosting with me?" And for me, so public speaking is one of my favorite things in the world. I love public speaking. Just like the entertaining portion of it, I just get into it, right? So I used to be a teacher and all that kind of stuff, instructor. But long story short, I was like, heck yeah, I'm in. So talk to us, Austin, a little bit about what got you started as far as a thought process and why this is important.
I hadn't mentioned it to you before, had I?
Nope,
Period.
I don't think so.
If anything, I had mentioned the college game day setting. I
Yeah,
hadn't probably.
yeah, maybe
that would
that,
probably be
but-
the only thing I'd ever mentioned. I've always loved the college game day setting. I love Saturday mornings, getting up, turning it on, the pregame. You never know who's stopping in. And I've just really kind of always had that thought of, man, that would be fun at the festival. It'd be so much fun to have a podcast and campground and people come out. And I think talking through that was where the podcast conversation started. And then every single time we have artists here, why are we not interviewing them? You know, and you look at the name of people, you know, that have come through here, from the Morgan Wallens and Hardys and Lainey Wilsons and Ernest, and the list goes on that we could have had interviews with. I mean, can you imagine where we'd be sitting right now? And that was only in 2018. Can you imagine where this podcast would be if we started just 7 years ago, and where we would be at right now with just a long list of names?
Yep.
And just, we're always looking, you know, we live in a content world where even for the festivals, for cruisins, like, what is cruisins? You know, what can people expect? You know, who are these artists? I mean, we're in the world, in the career of branding these people and helping build these names up, building cruisins up. So I've always just thought it'd be great content. And no offense to you, the goal was originally that it was going to be, you know, me and Wayne. That's something that he knows as much as I. You can't pin him down.
Oh yeah.
To save your life. And
We've been trying to get him on here for 4 months.
And I wanted that. I mean, I think that, man, that could be, when you think we get off topic, but he'll get on in time, but that was the goal, that it was going to be that. And, we've talked about a couple different names and threw all these things out there and talked about having a podcast at a bar that we just, you know, because we all get together, all of us guys, and we have drinks and have our Fuck It Fridays or whatever you want to call it. And, God, we should be like recording this shit. I do think Raised Rowdy really sparked it. And we've brought up Raised Rowdy a ton of times on here. They're a great group of guys doing their podcast at the festival, seeing their stuff and thinking, we could be doing this exact same thing. Yeah, that's really where it kicked off. I was in the car. I was not driving. My stepbrother Eric was driving, and he, you know, we were kind of talking about it and what it would take, and then I started kind of being bored and Googling and looking up, and I talked to the Raised Rowdy guys, and I think, like I said, I had all that stuff ordered before we pretty much got home and just dive right into it. Because I think you and I also had the same thought of, well, fuck it, we can always just send it all back and try it out for a month and see how bad it is and all this. But I think we just had to. I don't think there's a lot of tiptoeing into it, especially when you are, you know, we want it to look great, we want it to be all these things. It was not something I just wanted to tiptoe into and half-ass. And I think also the only reason it's not half-ass is because of your support and your time that I can't give to it, and the effort I think both of us have put in, you know, on and off, you know, camera, that, you know, has paid off, because we've sacrificed and put extra time as it sits on a, you know, Monday night at 9:00.
Yeah, so I mean, it was a very fast pace. I mean, like you said, you had ordered the equipment. Cruisins was very supportive of getting that equipment done and over to us. We set everything up in my basement. I think we talked about that a little bit earlier too. We set up everything in my basement. I've got kind of a little bar area down there with a big table. Set everything up there. Trying to figure out the lay of the land.
We had like switchboards and a soundboard and mics and boom arms, and he broke the boom arm like right out of the gate.
If you search on Google, you know, what do you need for a podcast? I mean, and it's overkill.
It's crazy.
But I think we ordered at least one, if not four, of everything, and figured out what we needed.
But everybody has different opinions about cameras.
Yeah.
Everybody has different opinions about the mics you get. Everybody's got a different opinion about how they're doing. And it's still, I mean, do I second guess? There's so many options of shit out there. And there are people that have badass podcasts and they just have wireless mics and they have this camera and that camera. And so that was just a whole learning curve, because I'm like, well, shit, I didn't know all these damn cameras shut off at 30 minutes. I'm like, fuck, and then all the little nuances of it, and then being able to have cameras that were versatile that we could use for other stuff, and decent mics, and then how do you edit it? I mean, then that turned into a whole nother thing of,
Yeah, it was.
well, shit, how do we edit all this? And, what are we going to do? And how do these people edit it? And there's this software and there's this software. And
Yeah.
fuck, now you got to start a website. And then, oh, by the way, you got to upload all the shit. And then you got to get it onto all the platforms. And there's a million of them. So that was another eye-opening thing for me.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely, and from very early on, I mean, so we knew it. Actually, we started this. We got the equipment. We did the basement. It was an hour and 42 minutes of just Austin and I, and we were just trying to get used to the fact that we had cameras on us. We had mics that were in front of our faces because neither one of us has really done that before. So here at Cruisin's in Farmington Road here in West Peoria, within like a week, I think it was, Ella Langley was coming to town. And even since then, Ella has certainly blown up, with her song with Riley and whatnot. But she was coming to town, and we were both like, there's no way we're ready to even
No
try.
fucking way.
Try to sit down with Ella, and my guess, seen her in passing while she was here in town. That was it for me, and I know you spent more time with her, but my guess is that she probably would have even obliged and been like, I'll give you 3 minutes, something along those lines, just
Yeah.
because she's nice and all of that as well. But we're like, there's no way we're even going to attempt that one.
No, and even knowing now, like, then there becomes a whole thing of, well, are you using cameras? Or if you're using cameras now, have to get ready, and then there's all this. But knowing that also we will have a chance to interview her at the festival, I mean, that made it
Very true.
that made it nice. Where I'm like, we can get a
Yep.
second chance at
Sunday in Bloomington, right?
no
No, that's
Friday,
Jesse.
Clinton, Iowa.
Dang it.
way off.
You're way off. Samsonite.
So I think knowing
I was
that,
thinking about Jesse. I was thinking about Jesse.
knowing that's was good,
Yeah.
but there was no way. I mean, our first, was David Morris, and I
And
think
real quick, shout out to David because he was kind of that one that bit the bullet to sit down with us first, and he knew that. We were very open to him about that. He was like, hey, how long you been doing this? Well, you're actually our first one.
yeah, we've never done this before, and so being able to go to somebody and say, no, man, it'll be fine. Like we don't have anything to show you. We have no editing we've done. We have a logo, and it's check it out, man. But
But with
he took a
David,
chance,
though,
but with David, it took us two
Yeah.
different conversations,
long conversations,
and really just getting to know, like, hey, man, because he even made a comment on one of you guys, dude, we just had a podcast right here. We just talked for an hour about all sorts of shit. And, we'll get a second chance. We'll have David on again
Yeah.
and, get redemption and
I hope so.
be like a
I
whole
hope so.
new, whole new podcast
Yeah.
for him. But, and all the beginning ones, I mean, George Burge was shortly after that, and, Austin Williams and all those people that, like, dude, we didn't have shit.
Yeah.
And I mean, the fact that we even got reposted by Bobby Bones and that was like our what? I mean, George Burge was one of our earliest podcasts.
With first 7, I would say off the top of my head, but yeah, no, George Burge was, and at that point, Cowboy Song, certainly as it is today. I mean, he was number 1 in country music here recently. Which congrats to George and certainly deserved. But at that point, it was a little earlier than it was on the radio, but it wasn't as big as what it was now.
Yeah.
And he was just a great conversation too. I mean, this was again back when we were sitting across the table from him, and just easy conversation.
His camp too, and hey, like, 15 minutes,
yeah.
let's try to make it. And they were still sitting in here, but George, I mean, I think we went like 25 minutes or so, and we could have even gone more, but that was still one of those like, hey guys, let's wrap it up. But it's all been learning from that standpoint of how their teams operate to when we can do it. I mean, there were some of those, we'll do it, and then all of a sudden it was hours later and we still hadn't got to it.
Since you mentioned it too, I mean, that's like an exciting point. I mean, that was again very early on within our but within our first, I would say 7 off the top of my head, to 7 podcasts, maybe even 5. And then so George was very supportive about sharing the reels and the TikToks and stuff like that as we release them, and then obviously the full episode too. So he shares a reel that he mentions Bobby Bones, which is a good friend of his. I know that they play pickleball together
Yeah,
quite
yeah.
a bit and stuff like that. And Bobby Bones for me is somebody that I've been listening to since I don't know the beginning of Bobby Bones. But yeah, so it was just he shared it. Bobby ended up sharing it. Ended up getting I think our most likes on Instagram or most views on Instagram that we've certainly ever had since then even. But I mean that's just the excitement of it all. And this was like October.
It was our top. It was one of our first 5.
Yeah.
Like we had bang, 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 bang
Yep.
right out of the gate.
Yep.
And I know the first one we released was Lakeview, but we interviewed. I want to say George might have been even number 3, because I think it went David Morris, then Austin Williams was here on like a
Yeah.
Friday.
I had the
And
two. I had the
George
two ladies.
George Burge was here that weekend.
Yeah, you might it very well could have been.
Actually, because I think it was like a Thursday, Friday, Saturday. We had a Thursday, Friday, Saturday deal going on.
Yeah.
But either way, nonetheless, that's been a whole just trying to figure out the logistics of that, what we're doing, how we're set up. Now that we have kind of this own setup here and not like at the table, I mean, that has helped out a lot. I mean, it's right here, all ready to go.
So along the way too, let's just be honest. We've had a few bloopers, a few times where I forgot to hit the record button on the
Oh, dude,
on
like
the mics when the cameras screw up or the
we
cameras
had-
turn
well,
off.
not George, David Morris.
Yeah.
Like the first
First
one
one.
we did, and we
After he not finally, but after he agreed to do it, and then
all we have is camera audio. And then, even getting further down the path, I fuck up a setting on a camera and the camera that's on us, I think. So on Josh Ross's.
yeah,
So
I
all
love
we have
Josh
is the
Ross.
wide
Love
angle
Josh Ross.
and his. I mean, it's just been a whole understanding of how to set it up. So
Real quick, you mentioned Josh Ross, and I just got to say too. One, I love Josh Ross, and we had such a good time with him when he was in town. Looking forward to seeing him again. But there was a friend of mine that was just recently started listening to the podcast or watching the podcast, and they were on Josh Ross, and they were just sending me messages saying, "Hey, this is so fun" or whatnot. I didn't know he was from Canada. I didn't know this. I didn't know that, and I was like, yeah, such a good guy.
Mhm.
And he talked about it on the podcast, and go watch it if you haven't. But one of the hardest working, I mean, as far as like being out on tour, I think I just saw on his Instagram that he played 179, 180 shows this year, 2024.
crazy.
Yeah, I mean
Yeah,
that's every other
his
day
little
of the
bit
whole
about
year.
his 2024 were
Yeah.
how many countries he was in, how many flights
Yeah.
he took, all
Ridiculous.
of that. And
So shout out to Josh because he was such a good time, and can't wait to see him down the road.
yeah, no, I love Josh. Did not get a housewarming invite from you yet, Josh. That has hurt, but
Stock in the pond.
I do think seeing that part too, like they all have stress, they all have personal life drama, they all have a living they're trying to make, and they're battling the gotta produce an image. Like it's a lot, and seeing that on the other side of then, hey, I still want to buy a house and paint my kitchen and have a life
Oh,
as
yeah.
well as all the other shit you do. I mean, there's a lot of glitz and glamour to some of it, but I also see the traveling, the suitcases, the on the road constantly, and just never being home. And I think that's something I've noticed a lot more, I guess, being focused in on who they are and what they have going on, that has been eye-opening to me.
Absolutely. So for my background, kind of backing up to this as well. So I've helped with Tailgate and Tall Boys for several years now. I've been to some shows at Cruisins here, but bringing like that perspective from a fan, I think is what I've enjoyed, not necessarily the most, but what I've really just kind of taken a hold of, because I've enjoyed learning. 4 months ago, I had no idea, what the behind the scenes were
Yeah.
of the industry, let alone, what the artists go through. And it's kind of what you were saying. I mean, just even watching them, come in and knowing that they're going to play on a Saturday night here at Cruisins in West Peoria. And we get here and their camp's already out. They've got their bus or their van or their Tahoe or, their U-Haul, whatever it is that they're able to, get across the country with. They've got it parked out here at Cruisins and they're coming in here because they want to take showers and hot water, and they're commenting about, how nice the bathrooms are, how the green room and so on and so forth. And it's just been an eye-opening experience, even from that, let alone all the other things that I've gotten to see since then.
Yeah, and even the routine of, as you see them year after year, Lakeview coming, this Thursday, and us interviewing them, was our first one drop, but getting to interview them, but seeing them grow from, the first time they played here, I blacked out.
We've heard the story. It was on podcast.
Yeah, that's how
episode
bad
1
it got. But
episode 1.
two, seeing them play the festivals and then seeing them take care of, themselves and think about their voices and think about the next step and the next stop and still having fun, but also just growing as individuals, and seeing each person's routine as they come here, whether it's go work out, whether it's sleep, whether it's play video games, whether it's party, whether it's whatever. Like, seeing each camp is so unique, every single one of them, and how they operate and what they're into and what they're doing. I've seen guys that are, just part of the band and like they have a whole nother job that they're trying to work remotely from a computer, and also playing a band while traveling, flying back and forth to places, to people that were, full-time employees somewhere, quit their job to do this, or they've been doing this since day one, have been traveling, moving from band to band, repeat people. Oh yeah, I played Cruisins 6 times. I played twice with this person. I played 3 times with this person.
So from Lakeview, you mentioned it, or kind of talked about it for a second there. So Lakeview, I was one of the things I was impressed by, because I've heard all the stories. I've seen them at Tailgate and Tall Boys. And so we go up to Chicago. So this we knew that this was likely going to be episode 1. That's kind of going into it.
Backing up.
Yeah.
When we got it, and then we did our first episode.
Yeah.
We saw the list of all the artists playing, and I think I knew, and I wanted to be optimistic, was we had some editing that we needed to figure out how that was going to happen, and happen in a way that we liked, that we were proud of. And so it was like, well, let's just start recording them. Mm-hmm. Let's get a backlog. But then knowing that Lakeview was in Chicago, and I'm like, all right, so we could do 7 episodes, I think was the magic number, 7 or 8, that we're like, dude, we could have all these recorded, get some practice. We don't want to go into interviewing Lakeview, like a bunch of newbies. Mm-hmm. So we had some under our belt, and then went up to Chicago and thinking that will be the perfect one to drop first. It means a lot to me that, getting to have them as our first podcast, officially dropped. So that was kind of my thoughts. Yeah. And then getting up there, and that took a turn as far as the experience. Pat happened to be up there too, Pat Clark. So that was like kind of a cool thing. And then it was going to be inside. Then it got moved to the bus, which actually worked out really well, I think.
I loved it. I think for me, or where I was going to go too, was, heard the stories about, the partying and all the good times that Lakeview has had here at Cruisins and Tailgate and Tall Boys. And, those guys are getting ready. They're just starting this tour that we went and saw them on. They're at Tinley Park. They're opening up for me, Breaking Benjamin and Stain, which is, 2 bands that I've been listening to for years. Aaron Lewis is somebody that, I just adore from a voice standpoint and a music standpoint. They have this big opportunity, but they saw it. And for me anyway, that's my perspective, and they could tell their own story. But we get up there thinking this is going to be, not a shit show, but a fun, high energy, lots of drinking and all of that. And we get up there and they're like, no one on their team or camp, or they've all kind of decided, hey, we're focused on the growth. We're
Yeah, we're not
focused on
fucking
the
this up.
opportunity. We're not going to fuck this up. And they weren't drinking.
Yeah,
they
they're like,
all
you guys go nuts.
yeah. But nobody on their team. They all kind of agreed, and to a certain degree that they weren't going to, and that to me was eye opening because they saw the opportunity that they had in front of them, and Jesse and Luke and Wyatt and Matt and all of them, Corey and the band. I mean, all of
Right.
them knew what opportunity they had in front of them, and made that conscious decision to be bigger than that.
Oh yeah, and I remember I'm like, dude, I don't want to do anything to fuck it up. Like I got a Lakeview, credential on. Like
Yeah.
I'm not gonna fuck this up for you guys. So no, 100%. That was really cool to see. And just kick it all off and do our first, on the road, and
Yeah.
then from there, coming back, sharpening up. I don't really know when this started. I think me and you just had a wild hair. Like, dude, this would be really cool.
Yeah.
Let's just get a
We
spot
got
set
the,
up.
got the
and-
neon eventually and
Yeah.
logos and everything.
and then we went on the road to Nashville, which had its learning curve of getting it set up in the Airbnb, scheduling when people were going to come, your voice of going out and drinking, to doing 4 or 5 podcasts in a day, to I don't know, I think both of us even had like kind of a cold
Yeah.
around that same point. And so
Yeah.
just doing that, uploading them. I mean, podcast after podcast, getting it uploaded to the computer with other meetings and other things going on. Again, just continuing to just see where we're going to take this, what we want it to be. You and I have talked, about all these different ideas and but at the same time, I think we're trying to learn as we go and kind of take what chances we have and the people that are around us. And 2025, I think, far exceeded what I thought we would do. I didn't set goals personally as like how many followers or
Right.
I don't
Right.
know, who we're gonna gain. I'm impressed by a lot of the numbers. Do I think it should be more? I really have no idea, and I don't know. Because of our connection to Tailgate and with some of the people we had on, I mean, maybe I would have thought it would have grown, but at the same time, I'm impressed and love just the interactions that we have with the people that do follow our socials and each of the different platforms they listen to it on, and the YouTube channel of I don't know. And then here, the other part is you see the numbers, and then what makes me happy as shit is when I see somebody that I know that I would never think would listen to it. But then they're like, man, dude, I've listened to this one and this one. And I'm like, never would have thought this person, is following and listening and liking it as much as they do.
Yeah, it's more than my mom and your mom that's listening. So certainly that's
I don't even
that's
think
a
my
win.
mom listens to it.
That's a win. But no, that's kind of the same thing. Is it's just been such a fun ride to see and get to know. I've kind of taken the kind of the role between Austin and I that we have an artist coming in doing a lot of research, and they probably think if they could actually see how much I'm like stalking them before they get into town. It's probably weird. Like if they could actually, pull up the analytics of Ryan Thompson on this or that.
Well, no, there's been a couple of them in like they're like, man, you really did your research. I'm trying to think of who you said something to, but I do think the funniest part was early on when we did try to print off the sheets that had all these like,
Oh, yeah.
questions and facts, and I was like, Ryan, I'm not sitting next to this artist with all these facts, and I'm like, so
1986.
remember this tweet you put out in 2008?
No, what I like to do is I like to, one, get to know their music a little bit because, I think that's important to have that conversation with them. But then I also do some research on other podcasts that they've been on or other interviews that they've done. One, because I don't want to ask all the same questions, but at the same time, there's things that we can connect with. Austin and I are have been, friends and baseball coaches for several years. We've talked to several artists, Austin Williams, several others that have been baseball players or even in college level baseball players. George Burge was a golf guy. So, I mean, those are easy conversations. And Austin Snell is a previous Air Force. He's an Air Force veteran. So, knowing that's a good lead into a conversation. So, I try not to get too far, but at the same point, trying to learn a little bit about them too before they show up here. My other point was going to be too is that you talk about the possibility and the connection to tailgate, but the reality of it is that we haven't even had a tailgate since we've been doing tailgate beers.
Yeah.
So I think having a tailgate or a couple tailgates that we'll have in Clinton and Bloomington 2025, that certainly will open up some doors too as far as awareness and what we're doing.
Oh, hands down. And one of the crazy part is, like you said, we haven't even had a tailgate, but yet you look at my long list, what's crazy is I still could probably double that of, oh yeah, we got to get this person on. We still got to have this person on. Got to have this person on. I mean, that list is 30 to 40 people long.
Yeah,
that
absolutely.
Easily, without trying super hard to get it there. A lot of it is just us planning time to either go to them or them to be near here or, something like that. But it's crazy the possibility of how many other people we could have. I mean, just today I'm DMing somebody on Tailgate's page who just made some moves with somebody else who's very, very popular and offered him an invite to come to Tailgate and Tall Boys, put me in touch with their people, and then we're figuring out the logistics of them coming there. And I'll tell you after because I forgot to tell you today. But like that alone could be awesome. And we have the list of all the people we could do podcasts with, who are playing Tailgate and Tall Boys. And then there's all the other people that, I mean, you in theory could get at the festival that just are there to attend and have a good time.
So before we get too far into 2025 plans and what we've got coming up, a little bit more kind of behind the scenes or background. So Tailgate Beers. So you kind of coined this as a term and essentially the name of the podcast. But what was kind of your intent? Or what do you see Tailgate Beers as, or what's the persona for that?
So when you and I were originally talking, and even my own thoughts, I don't know who I really need to give credit to, but I guess Steven is the main one. So Steven has a group chat and a group of friends that they're lunch beers. They sit around and have their little beer session and talk about life. And I think we all have that group of lunch beers friends. We have that group of friends where, hey guys, what are you doing today? Who's watching the game? Let's go get some beers. Hey, who wants to say fuck it today? I do think I got attached to lunch beers first. Traveling down that path gets very difficult when it comes to, the website, a name, somebody already has it. And I think that's what I kind of ran into. And then the connection of Tailgate and Tall Boys, is strong. But also, I think we've had this conversation before. I don't believe we've ever really aired it. But I think growing up how we grew up, sitting on a tailgate, going to, people's houses, hanging out on the back of trucks, doing that type of stuff is what I grew up doing. And so honestly, it's not really tied to Tailgate and Tall Boys as much as like when the name, it's just, that's really what I envision. Like, man, you sit around, you talk about life, you talk about, that's where you met that's where you met a girl, that's where you got, too drunk one night and had to call somebody to drive you home. Like all those stories of going out to, a field. And maybe not everybody grew up that way, but that's how I grew up. And I kind of look at that as like this, place where you talk about all sorts of stuff and learn about life and, hang out with that buddy before he goes off to the military, or have that night that everybody's getting ready to go back to college, or, whatever it is. That was when I close my eyes and think about when I was, younger and would have those, it was having some Tailgate beers.
No, and I'm 1,000%. I mean, I grew up in a small town here locally in Illinois, and just north of here, about 35 miles, Henry. I remember growing up and again, exactly what you're saying, the out at the Bogner farm, Brendan Bogner friend of mine growing up, still is, but he had his family had a bunch of cornfields, bean fields, whatever they were that year. And out in the middle, there was one big, huge, I don't know if it's an oak tree. I don't know what trees look like, but one big tree. And there was waterways, pathways down these fields to get to that one tree. And we'd go out there and, just have beer and sit on a tailgate or have some music playing, that kind of stuff. And that's what I'm thinking about too, is that, we do in 2025 have a couple that are already planned and scheduled of podcasts to where we go out remote and set up on a couple of the backside of a couple of tailgates and drink a few beers and have these types of conversations.
At no point do I promote, drinking and driving, but, going out and doing some back roading and finding a random field. Like, I think I still even have them marked on my phone of like these locations
Where to go.
of like good spots on a gravel road. And
Yeah.
I don't know. We, like I said, that's what we used to do.
I guess part of the thought process too, when we talk about tailgate beers and the podcast and what Austin and I are hoping to get out of this, but also do with it. I mean, so we are not just we do a lot of country artists. We talk to a lot of country artists, Tailgate and Tall Boys. There's a lot of country, type of music that's involved there, but there's certainly some past and loves that Austin and I both have for, more of rock stuff too. Sports certainly is something that we are connected on. So getting some of those as well. I mean, Peoria has a handful of sports names that, have some local connections here too that we would love to sit down with and have non-music type of conversations with.
I mean, I think anybody starts a podcast and you're going to go with what's in front of you.
Right. Absolutely.
If Cruisins was a comedy club, who do you
Mhm.
think we'd be interviewing?
Oh, yeah. Rob Snyder
If
coming to Washington, Illinois.
Matt Rife. I mean, if you and I were day traders
Mm-hmm.
and having, very successful, like we would be interviewing that. If we played
Yeah.
in poker, like we would, like at the end of the day, if
We own strip clubs. We'd probably interview strippers.
Yeah, 100%. But that's what I think. That's what was in front of us, and one, that's also where our interests are with USA Concerts,
Mm-hmm.
taking care of Cruisins, Tailgate and Tall Boys, promoting what we have going on. I mean, that's the whole purpose of this. Us going out and necessarily interviewing, Brian Urlacher doesn't really bring anything to Cruisins or Tailgate and Tall Boys, if we're
Mhm.
being honest.
Yeah.
But to grow the brand and do it, I mean, I do want to continue to mix in those type of things where we can sit down with, somebody like that or other sports, athletes or, dude, who knows? I mean,
Yeah.
anybody really.
Sean
I mean,
Livingston
Sean
from Peoria.
Livingston. I mean, sit down with him or other Peoria natives. Again, have a beer with,
Yep.
talk about life and where, and it all ties back to music. Other people we've even talked to, just their love for music, what they think about these things, and kind of shed light on just we're all humans trying to get through this crazy thing called life. And I mean, that's really at the end of the day, because even a lot of my questions to some of them, I mean, we all spend every day talking about music, like hearing more about what's going on in their lives and what they like to do. I mean, I would say we're pretty mixed on not just music related questions.
Oh,
We
yeah.
get asked
Oh, yeah.
music related questions every
Life,
single
yeah,
day.
absolutely. Yeah.
Do
Do you believe in aliens?
I
You
like,
know?
yeah.
Pineapple on pizza.
Yeah.
All
Well,
those.
Which I was thinking, and I can't fucking shower the same anymore. But I was thinking that we have to come up with, we got to come up with some other questions too. Although they're so good.
They are.
And
So I've got a note. So we've talked to several artists, right? So we talked to artists and we asked a question about, writing music and writing songs. And I've actually, I don't know who it even was, Lacade maybe, having a conversation with him about, when they're just going through their daily routines and they think of something pops in their head, they all have notes, right, in their iPhone. And it just is full of lyrics or full of song stuff, for writing. So I started my own on my phone, a little notes thing about, some of those random questions that I like to ask. I do got a little bit of a list going that just pop in my head or I see somewhere or whatever. so we can ask some just like some random questions every once in a
Do
while.
you think, and I'm asking this honestly, because I do love the question, but for 2025, we've gone on for so long. Like, I like my question. I feel like I like it more than maybe everybody else likes it. But I do think the 5 albums is a very interesting question. I know I'm biased to the question, but it can be a long question. I have thought for 2025 that we, as a couple,
Mm.
come up with a singular question
Okay.
that throughout 2025 that we ask, and at the end, we share the results of where does everybody fall on this. But I want it to be a good one.
Like a bar graph kind of thing where we can do some analytics at the end of the year.
Yeah,
Okay.
like 65% of everybody we interview falls in this category. And maybe it is 2 or 3. I don't know. I
Yeah.
just think and we don't have much time because we have till Thursday.
Yeah.
But I've been meaning to talk to you that I think it'd be fun to like, where do you fall in this? And whether people watch it and they know it's coming oh God,
Here it is.
but I want it to be something good.
Yeah.
And
No,
me
we
and
can
you
definitely
have done
connect on
the
that.
would you do this or this? I know we've come up with some fucked up ones. I know
Yeah.
there's some like
So
normal
that
ones,
was.
but
that
I
was,
really want it to be like oh God, I don't know.
That's a good
Where
one.
do I fall? And it be like, and whether or not me and you still ask our dumb, stupid ones that we throw in there, but like there's the question of tailgate beers that where do you fall with
I like
blank?
that. I like that. Just gotta figure out. We got 2 days.
I'm saying like I want it to be, oh boy, which side do I fall on? And I don't want it to be like Republican or Democrat. I don't want it to be like, but at the end of the year, we're like, we interviewed, like, just like Josh Ross's post. In 2025, we talked to 85 people, however much, and this is where they fall on this topic.
I like that. Just gotta figure out what that is.
Like, if you had Old Yeller, would you shoot it?
Mm.
But it's kind of got to be like one side or the other.
Yeah.
But I want him to like really weigh on it. So we'll have to think about that. But I have been thinking about it because, again, I like my 5 albums. One, I know you like some of yours. I like the randomness of it all. And again, I want to still have some of those.
If there's something popped in my head, like just something random, the cereal, the like we said already, pineapple on pizza or whatever it is. We're sitting there with Lily. And Lily's a friend of Tailgating Tall Boys and Cruising, certainly. Just ended like a somewhat serious conversation for Tailgate Beers, at least, right?
Probably one of the more serious.
Yeah. But as soon as she got done talking, it was, do you believe in aliens?
No, and I love that. So then that's okay. So that's the other side of this is, if we have a question that is asked, which I think we can live in both worlds, because I don't want to live in a world where I can't ask a question. Dude, there's been questions you've asked I don't even know are coming.
Yeah.
So I'm even like, what the fuck did he just say? But then, like, I want there to be ones where we're all caught off guard.
So in true reflection of what we've done, what we've already accomplished, 2024, we've said it. We had 20 episodes out in 2024. You talked about the five albums question that I think we've asked on every single one of those 20.
Just about.
I think
Except
that
you didn't ask it when I wasn't here.
no, I did ask it. I just didn't ask it to.
There have been some that also hasn't gotten put in.
Yeah, well, that could be true too. It got edited out
But-
for whatever reason. But I think you and I answered it a few times too. I think Austin, Snell, I think even Razor Rowdy
Yep.
turned it around and asked us.
Mine have
Ours.
probably mixed up.
Yeah, but either way, I think now it might be a good time to let's reflect on 2024's top 5 albums and some of those that came to us.
There were several repeats for a while, and I do think we had some first. I mean, Matt Quigley for sure had the biggest differences. But see, this is another one. I want to get done with year, and I think whatever question we do ask, if it is 5 albums even, I think we should try to keep a list of how many people said, Chris Stapleton.
George
George
Strait.
And then there were just
George
some
Strait came out quite a
George
few times.
Strait came out, but
A lot
there
of Texas
were
country.
some that were, wow, Austin Williams went real old,
Mm-hmm.
on some of his, if I can remember right.
But Austin, that's
Lakeview couldn't
Austin
even
too.
answer
Was like
him.
born and raised in like old country. You know, the Wayland.
I think that's what gets me though, is when you ask the question, especially to people in music, and the different answers, but also how serious some people take it, and you can tell they're like, "Damn,
Yeah.
that hits me hard." And then the other ones are like, "I don't fucking know."
Mhm.
You know, I don't know. It's to me, I'm like, it's interesting that like that doesn't you're in music and that doesn't strike you, but that's just different people's taste
right.
and what they think about. I'm an overthinker and I love music. I mean, I love music. It's so important to me. You know what I listen to, but it is it's a difficult question to ask.
For me, yeah. But for me, I mean, the couple of times it's been kind of turned around on us. It's periods of my life for me. It's Black Album from Metallica. You know, that's you know a time of growth and in a very early age of, you know, 5th grade, whatever it was when it came out for me.
Yeah.
That, you know, I went from liking New Kids on the Block to you know, Metallica based
Yeah.
upon some influences and friends that I, you know, had. That's a period of life, a period of time that I remember from that. Same thing with, I've said Shinedown a couple of times.
Yeah.
You know, that's a period of my life when I lived in Colorado and going through some, you know, hard times in life and you know, that kind of thing. But that's what I remember from that, you know. You know, other ones too that we have mentioned or have been asked. It just those are periods of life that sticks to.
3 Days Grace's album when I was a freshman in high school. I mean, I just lit that thing on fire
Mm-hmm.
constantly. I think even somewhere there in freshman year, Limp Bizkit came out with that like that different album. I think it had Faith on it. We made that cover. Like I listened to that, you know, quite a bit. But like I literally remember that. You know, I know for a fact. You know, like my first rap album ever was Country Grammar,
Yeah.
and I remember just
Little Nelly.
tearing that thing up. And I really was never big on rap, but that was a genre where, you know, shortly after that, Eminem comes out, 50 Cent's out.
Mhm.
That takes you down a rabbit hole of like, holy shit. Rap was kind of short lived for me. Rock,
Stained
because
for
it's
me.
starting to drum.
Yeah.
So getting into what you can drum to. So now I'm listening to Stained. I'm listening to Atreyu. I'm like, what is this crazy, just screamo rock?
Yeah.
Screamo rock for me is like calms me. I love it. I don't know. It's like my jazz music that could like just calm me
Sit and chill
that,
to.
just like I don't know. That's how it has always been. And so from there, then when I got into high school and parents were like, "Hey, Austin, what you got in your CD player? What do you listen to on your iPod?" And then they like listen to my headphones. Like, what the fuck? What is wrong with you? You know,
Turn
and
that
like
up.
it's just it's nuts. But I don't know. It's always taken me to a certain space, and then you know I got big into you know Taking Back Sunday and you
And
know
like-
kind of down the emo.
Yeah.
And I
grunge.
God,
a
I
little
just found a. I don't know if TikTok's gonna be around in a week, but like
bit. I hope so.
I just found a TikTok page. It was like songs that you didn't remember, and it kind of goes down the emo rock phase,
Yeah,
you know. And
yeah.
I'm like, oh, I fucking love that song,
Mhm. Mhm.
you know. And I don't know, just traveling down that path, and each place to me going back to classics. So I was on a huge Johnny Cash kick at one point, and you know, listening to Boston, to you know, doing a you know, I used to listen to Billy Joel all the time. My parents had a record player in the basement when I played pool in my basement. Listen to a Billy Joel album, and that's when I really loved vinyl and started
Yeah,
to listen to
yeah.
like more, you know, older rock. You know, listening to Rolling Stones and, yeah, just I don't know. Music has always been my chapters. Like you said,
Mhm.
it's the chapters of your life.
Yep.
It's who you are. I think, you know, country can be very emotional, but I think a lot of music is just, man, it can just take you to this place where it's just like, holy shit, man.
So you mentioned Johnny Cash, and it made me think about Walk the Line, which is one of the few movies that I've ever watched in my life. I've had that conversation with some friends recently. I don't watch movies very often, but I do love Walk the Line. But it takes me back to, again, a podcast that I think you were out of town that weekend, but I did with Alexa Curran, who is Exolex. That the podcast itself probably won't ever see the light of day because it was very, very early on. But she was a big Walk the Line fan, and she was talking about it on the podcast that we recorded. Her and her dad used to watch that movie all the time, and she covered one of Johnny Cash's old songs that way, and just a great conversation. So shout out to her.
I don't know what makes people get, one album to the next, of why yours connect to you a certain way. But one I've never even think of, but like Gary Allen was a really, I don't know. I think Gary Allen was super underrated. I mean, just kind of here and then kind of fell off. But you want to talk about mental health, talk about going through shit. I mean, his wife, killed herself, and like the emotions that he went through of dealing with that, and the albums he wrote and the music he wrote from that are absolutely insane. And that album and each one of those was so good back then, and then just kind of fell off. And again, I think some of them also, again, going back to they have their own personal life and shit they go through, and
There's
so
ups
much
and
shit
downs,
they want to
absolutely.
do. But man, there's so many great albums, whether it's just one or they come out with, like a Jason Aldean where they've had 13 albums or something like that.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, the biggest question in music right now is if Oasis will make new music. And I've been on pins and needles
Before the tour?
I've been on pins and needles, listening to the same live album at Wembley for the last 20 years of my life, and I don't know. Again, that's another one where I don't really know why it connected when it did, but
Yeah.
I love their music, and to me, there's certain ones that just stand the test of time. I got album after album in my phone of, God, I was upset. I loved it. I don't know. Then after a year or 6 months or 2 months, I just take it or leave it. Don't really listen to it anymore. I don't really know completely why that is.
Yeah, I don't know on that one.
Going to 2025, man, I just, I would love some more behind the scenes type stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I would love for us to continue to get more relaxed with all the things we're doing. And I think people seeing us for who we are, I don't know, maybe think we fucking suck, or I don't know. But at the same time, I think us in our own relaxed element, even from the start of tonight to an hour and 10 minutes into it,
Couple surf
I
sides.
think I don't know. I just think it's interesting to continue to perfect it and to be us and who we are, because I think, as we'll get into maybe here over the next several weeks, of, the stories we have of, what I've been through, what you've been through, where we want this to go. And I think are very interesting. And I don't think a lot of people know that. And I think sometimes, me and you're both overthinkers, so we try to really make this as good as we can, and we want this to be perfect. And I think sometimes it's kind of perfect and it's
In its own way.
imperfections and fuck ups. And
No, I agree with you, and I just I don't know what episode numbers. We don't know what episode the number is going to be, but what we've come to realize just through conversations and socials and stuff like that. We are like the constant of tailgate beers, and we're not viral by any stretch of the imagination, and I don't know if we necessarily even intend to be, but we do feel it's important where we're at now for all of you to get to know us individually as well. We just sat down, Austin and I, you probably saw it on our socials, sat down last Thursday, I think it was. Yeah, Thursday. And we got some behind the scenes kind of shoot, some content for that. But at the same time, talked about our goals for 2025 and what we wish to accomplish. Where do we want to go? We've got a very packed schedule for January.
Yeah.
I mean, we've got a lot coming up. Thursday, 3 days from now. I mean, that's a huge
could
day.
have like four
Yeah.
podcasts.
That's a huge day. Lakeview's in town. We got Jason Cross that's coming, opening up for them, direct support.
Got the mayor of Clinton coming.
Mayor of Clinton, Iowa, which is where Tailgate and Tall Boys is, and in Clinton. We also what we're not getting used to, but what we have found out, we've made some connections with other folks in Nashville area. Macy, who is an artist out of Nashville, is going to come through town. She's coming through just to do the podcast.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah, on her way to Michigan. She got a show in Michigan that weekend. But they also know Jesse and Luke and some of the guys from Lakeview. So they're like, well, we're going to come up Thursday and see Lakeview. So they're going to come up. Macy's going to do the podcast with us, record it, and then hang out with us for Lakeview that night. So
Yeah, and if you draw a straight line from Nashville to Michigan, Peoria is not like on, just a quick pull over.
yeah,
You know,
and what
it.
that was, I mean, Colin Wilkinson, who is Macy's manager, I actually met him separate trip to Nashville here in the last couple of months, and we were at the Red Door, drinking and having a good time. It was a Raise Rowdy event there in Nashville, and happened to run into him. We started talking. And he's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna hit you up and
and
want to
a
get
red
some
door conversation that turns, actually,
and
to
it
reality.
became fruitful. Yeah, no, he reached out, we connected, and we got some logistics figured out for the routing and all that kind of stuff for Macy and her team. Yeah, looking forward to that. Over the next several months, we've got some great artists coming through here in Cruisins, outside of even Thursday for Lakeview. Tyler Braden's coming up. We've got Isaac Durst
coming up.
Yeah, Paul Cawthon. Isaac Durst is a local guy that we're going to interview as well.
Chris Cagle.
Classic. February 8th, I think, off the top of my head.
Yeah, February 8th. Tyler Braden, Paul Cawthon. We just announced Sterling Elza today.
I'd seen that. I loved that one.
Ashley Cook.
Mhm.
That one got postponed till March. Cooper Allen.
Cooper's coming, yeah.
And Corey Kent.
Serious lineup of artists coming through.
Yeah.
But what we've also kind of expanded, and we talked about a little bit earlier, kind of expanding on, what some of our original ideas were. So we've got some personalities from Cruisins that we've got scheduled for a special Valentine's Day show. If you've been around Cruisins, Tailgate and Tall Boys, if you were at the Diamond Deck at all, she was one of the bartenders at Diamond Deck. So Liberty is going to be joining us for a special Valentine's Day show coming up.
She's I don't know how many views. It's gotten like 3 million views or something on Cruisin' socials.
Yeah.
But again, showing the other side of her and all the crazy shit that people get into. To we've talked about hell, even getting Uncle Co on here,
Yeah.
to
Little Uncle
other
Crow.
people that have all these different perspectives of roles at the events or just attending the events, to working at Cruisins, to working the festival. Yeah, that's the part that I do think those are very interesting. Is it viral? Is it somebody crazy, popular? I don't know, but I think I think it's very interesting. I think some of these artists that are coming through, I mean, Cooper Allen played Iowa and Bloomington and stayed for all 4 days of Bloomington, just didn't leave. He's played Cruisin', sold it out, and crushed it. I'm intrigued to have him on. I think he will be a very electric personality.
Yeah.
I have personally never met Paul. I cannot fucking wait to have him on. That is probably my number one. Cannot wait to have him on.
Yeah.
Just I don't know, man. He is his own person, his own genre of music, and just a badass.
Yeah.
Really, just does not give a fuck. I mean, the first time he played Cruisins, there was 2 people there. To sold it out the next time.
That's gonna be fun.
That'll be fun. Ashley Cook, she has a lot going on for her.
Mm-hmm.
And so just the Cruisin' shows alone, I'm pumped for. But all the ones that we can mix in there, I also can't wait to kind of sprinkle those in.
Kind of teased it earlier. So one of the tailgate sessions, or one of the tailgate podcasts we're gonna do, we've got Joe Stam.
Yeah.
Austin knows Joe Stam from growing up with him. He's got a piece of property fairly local here that we're going to go out and we're going to visit him on site at his property, probably sit on a couple tailgates, have some beers, and make it a true Tailgate Beers episode there. So looking forward to that. Kind of a local guy, but's been playing around for a while. Also going to be at Tailgate and Tall Boys. I think he was at Tailgate and Tall Boys previously,
He's
too.
at both tailgates.
Yeah. So looking forward to sitting down with Joe. And another little twist that we've thrown into the schedule for January too is we've got a brewery here in Bloomington, Illinois, that's agreed very graciously to allow us to come in, record a podcast. They're going to give us some of their beers to drink and have it really be a kind of a tasting of their local beers.
How did that come about?
So we were sitting at one of our local to Washington establishments, Brick House, which is right there in Washington, Illinois. I'm there quite a bit. I do some work for them on the side. And our friend came in and he was like passing out, from a brewery standpoint. Obviously, they want to come into these types of bars, establishments, and get their kegs on tap, kind of thing, basically. And he came in, was passing out some samples.
Oh, I do remember that day.
Yeah,
But I don't remember how you got in.
No, I just asked him. I was like, hey, because he told us where he was from. It's Bloomington. It's only about 20, 30 minutes away from here in Peoria. And I was like, hey, would you guys have a tap room or like a tasting room? And he said, yeah. It's like, well, did you guys ever, allow a podcast to come in and record a podcast, drink some of your beers, sample them, talk about them, talk about your brewery, stuff like that. He's like, well, I can ask. And then all of a sudden, he messaged me just 2 days ago, and he's like, hey, I got it approved. Pick a date, and it's on the books. So here in the next couple of weeks, we're gonna go do that. Yeah, like I said, we've got a lot of plans.
See, I think those are gonna be the ones, and that's why I'm excited to just. I don't know, man. I think those are gonna be the ones that we kind of thrive where. I don't know, just letting it be free,
I agree.
being in a new element ourselves.
Yeah.
Not feeling like we're trying to be like a fucking newsroom and just, I don't know, getting some shit out there and, like I said, going to different places. I mean, I love being here too. Don't get me wrong, but I do think it'd be exciting to just be in different spots and make that shit happen and kind of be in their element and just hear more. And no, it's 2025 is gonna be good. I'm pumped. And then, let alone at the festival. I mean, that's going to have a whole fucking element of crazy.
Yeah.
Granted, it seems like forever away, but we're going to blink and we're damn near knocking on 5 months away.
So we also have a couple of things with Creative Vets.
Yeah.
I don't know if you want to talk briefly about the Tailgate and Tall Boys connection to Creative Vets, but we've got a podcast scheduled with them and one of their veterans that they've been working with, but then got some possibilities in Nashville for some work with them for their golf outing coming up. I know we just got some information on that here recently. So yeah, so we got that as well. So it's not just country music. It's not just who's coming through. We're getting a lot more requests. We're getting a lot more stuff scheduled for.
And hopefully that's what people want. I mean, I don't know. I'm trying to be as just genuine and, open of who we are and share stuff and whether people want to hear that. And, I don't know. I think we're just trying to still just put what we think is cool information that people don't know what goes on in general in music.
Yeah.
What Creative Vets, and we'll wait for that podcast to kind of go over, all of that stuff. But it's honestly, I don't even give it enough appreciation to truly what they have going on, throughout the course of, the festivals and what they make happen and, just saving people's lives through music. And I think it's a very cool story, and I can't wait to share it. And I know you're close to that, and I think all of us are close to the mental health aspect and the going through tough times. And we just talked about how much albums mean to us and music in general, and I think that'll be a good one. So just continue to bring variety, conversations, and like I said, I just want us to continue to get more out there of less kind of script and more of, I don't know, just letting it be what it is and getting more, conversations with people that you're like, God damn, I've never even heard of this person, but man, I loved it on this podcast, because man, you may not even like some of them, but when you hear and meet some of them, I'm like, I like their music mainly just because, God, they're just such a cool person, and I like the conversation I've had with them.
I'm hoping to go down to Nashville again sometime here before too long. We mentioned Philadelphia, and one of the friends down there that is close with Tailgate and Tall Boys and Cruisins, Caden McGuire. He wants to be on, And he's got a bass fishing boat. Let's go on a bass fishing boat and let's do a podcast. Just
Well, we've talked about
cracking a few beers,
trying to
and
do the
throwing some lines
logistics
out.
of having a camera on a golf cart, and how again, how do you mount all the cameras and record a podcast? And it's not like we have a crew of a bunch of people to record, and I don't know. I think that'd be
Yeah.
that'd be fun.
Be fun. Yeah, no, anything along those lines, we'd love to go. But if we continue January, like I said, we've got 12 or 13 scheduled in January. I mean, numbers wise, if we do that every month, and I know we got some tailgate, tall boy stuff in there too. I mean, and that's gonna be quite a bit in itself. But that's 120, 130 episodes in a year.
And I mean, and then you have that list where I personally, I have wanted to. And I've talked with Lakeview about it, which this would be a cool Lakeview segment, which we can bring it up on Thursday. But let's say we know they're going to play in Ohio.
Mm-hmm.
I think it'd be awesome to fly, have to fly, rent a car, get there,
Private jet, yep, something.
Get there, yeah, hop on the PJ, get to wherever they're at, and then hit 4 stops, and literally do we're gonna ride the bus, travel. For 5 shows, when Atlas gets a bus, whenever some of these people literally be like, hey, we're going to come there, but then we're going to do different interviews throughout that. What's it like to live on a tour bus?
Oh, goodness.
I've really only done it one time. And I think it'd be, I don't know. I think that would be a cool segment.
Oh,
and then
absolutely.
just expanding on those ideas. We've talked about going and interview Charlie on a Friday and in going to some place, and then again expanding on those to going on a golf course but still doing something, getting content. That's what I want to improve on and get more of, because dude, we've had so many fun times.
Oh yeah.
But there's really no cameras recording a lot of the shit that's going on.
In some ways that's good.
No, in some ways it's good, but in some ways dude, I want to get in the Uber and interview Kivo.
Oh, Kivo.
I want to go on a whole Uber, what do they call that, where they do the celebrity Uber thing with, or what's his name?
Where you ask them questions?
Yeah, and they do the whole, they sing songs, and
yeah.
What's his name? That British dude.
It's not the Bang Bus. That's different.
But you get what I'm saying.
That's a different show.
You get what I'm saying. I don't know what it is. But anyways, I want to do that with Kivo. I think it'd be sick to, I don't know, who's Kivo? Maybe no one else finds this interesting. I mean, remember when me and Corey got into it late at night at 3 a.m. You treat Kivo with respect.
Yeah.
You're pissing me off.
And then Kivo was hanging out with him in the
and
club.
then now they're that's his guy. Yeah. That's Corey's guy.
Yeah.
And there's another one again that we met and will be lifelong friends. But his story of his work ethic and his grind and moving to Miami now.
Yeah, I seen that.
And again, I don't know. Does everybody else find it fast? I find it fascinating. And that's all I really care about. And I think that I think those are stories where it's just, you don't see that all the time. We're never in a million years would I have thought that the grind and what he's doing, and
it would mean something to somebody.
It's impressive as fuck. I don't know. I kind of just took it as a group of them. They're just a bunch of young college kids that are, partying or doing whatever. And then you get to know them. You're like, damn, dude. And the next morning, he was there bright and early, 9 a.m., ready to go.
Yeah. We have these Nashville artists coming through, and certainly we want to interview them. But we also have some local artists here, too, that, not that we were ever reluctant to do that, but didn't know if the value was there, if that would mean anything to anyone. But what we have found is, the interview we did with Taylor Berninga, the interview we got planned with Isaac Durst, the interview that and Clayton Shea is a little bit bigger now as far as Nashville is concerned, but he's still a hometown,
right?
Canton guy. But those help us tremendously from a content perspective, because they've got all of these local fans and local cult fans type of folks that are all over socials and will do anything for those guys. So
I can't wait, man. It's going to be fun. And at the end of the day, man, I'm even just excited just to do the journey with us together. I think just that growth and friendship, and dude, we've had so many fucking laughs and so many fun times of doing this. And
oh yeah.
2 different people handle things differently, which, trying to understand the logistics of, you got a job, I got day job, We all have other shit going on. We have kids in sports. We got this shit.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, it's not going to be easy. I mean, baseball's coming up. I'm retired, so I can do
our
whatever
kids
the
play
fuck I
baseball?
want. I mean, we really haven't even touched on
We
that.
haven't had to yet.
At the end of the day, man, I love having you on it, and I love doing this together, man.
Absolutely.
It's-
I do too.
honestly, I don't know if it would have made it this long because I only have so much capacity to do so much shit. And have I dropped the ball or,
We pick
whatever?
up for
We're
each
not
other.
perfect, and who gives a shit?
Yeah.
It's just at the end of the day, it will move at whatever pace we continue to want to push it. And I think sky's the limit when it comes to what we can do. It'll be what it's going to be, and it'll be just fine.
So we appreciate each other, but we also appreciate those of you that have been watching, those of you that have been stuck around since episode 1 or episode 20 or episode 21, which this one will end up being 2024, 2025, Tailgate and Tall Boys. Any of those fans that come along too. Looking forward to meeting all of you out there. So
Yeah.
like I try to say to the artists come through here, we'll see you down the road.
At the end of the day, we have information we're going to share about the upcoming festivals. I want to try to go through, logistics for people, where to go, parking stuff, helpful
Camping.
things, make it fun. I want to give shit away.
Yes.
I mean, I want to be like fucking
Yes.
Oprah, Surfside for you, Surfside for you,
Everybody gets
free
Surfside.
shirts for you, tickets. I want to give out our own. I want to make sure that people that follow this podcast win tickets to shit, win, meet and greets, win, I don't know, cool shit.
So what helps us to identify and or even justify, right? I mean, this costs money. It costs
yeah.
money to edit. It costs money for this equipment. Are those likes, those follows, those subscribes, those shares?
Yes.
Certainly social media is where we live and breathe as far as a podcast is concerned. So please, if you see something you like it makes you smile, it makes you laugh, share it.
Yeah.
Tell your friends about it.
Share it with, on whether it's on Facebook, YouTube, post something about it, comment. We want to hear from it. So please, it means a lot to us. I mean, we do put a lot of time into this. And I know for me, this is kind of this is a nice getaway
It's a
in
hobby.
the evenings. It has been kind of a hobby. Trust me, we're not, putting food on the table with this by any means, but we appreciate USA Concerts for supporting us. We appreciate all the artists that have come on. We appreciate our families and other people that have supported it and reached out and said how much they love it. So again, we hope we have another just jam-packed year, and we'll do everything we can. Just let us know your thoughts and who you want to see in 2025, and we're going to do our best to make it happen. So Ryan, this is to you to
Cheers, buddy.
2025.
2025.
Here's
Let's
to all
go.
of you, and
Let's go, Tailgate Beers.
love it.